Hey guys, and welcome to Meaningful Levity. Okay, so in today's podcast, I just wanted to discuss and to share with you my tips on how to actually cultivate sexual discipline. Okay, so if you are the type who has been battling with, lust, a lot of lust, you have problems of concentration, concentrating on important projects. You find yourself running after women left and right. I'm not saying any of these are bad, okay? Because let's leave the morals aside, all right? Let's deal with the question is, are you comfortable doing what you're doing? Are you happy doing what you're doing? And I know the answer is most likely no. I don't think you are happy to just be running after women, all right? And at some point in life, okay, especially in our teenagers, and yes, as adolescents, at that point, and I could understand that you would like to, actually experiment, right? And that's why I'm saying we should leave the morals aside. I don't have anything wrong with that because in this life, the only way you can learn is to actually experience things yourself. Is to actually go out there, put yourself out there, try different things, learn new things, make mistakes, and learn and all of that, right? But sometimes, if you could just have the information ready, all right, and if you could, that's why, for instance, we hear a lot of people making videos these days or sharing their thoughts on when interviewed. They often say, I wish I knew this. 5 things that I wish I knew, you know. And I don't think you would like to regret one day your sexual life. So that is why I'm making this particular video. It's based on my personal experiences. And I hope you would also learn from it, And I did not script this. I'm just saying it off head. And that is very real. And I hope you'll be able to relate to what I'm about to share with you regarding to sexual discipline and how to actually, cultivate sexual discipline. All right. First of all, what I have to say is if you want to cultivate sexual discipline, okay, is that this has to be, let's say, premeditated, okay? And it has to be because, and it has to be tailored towards, or it has to be, yes, it has to be tailored towards you as a person or tailored for you as a person, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Because what I'm about to tell you, it's very important that you listen to me. That's what I'm sharing. If not, there wouldn't have been any point in making the video, right? But what I'm about to tell you is something that you can only learn from and then apply to your own personal life to be able to resist from all kind of sexual lust and to be able to act sexually in a rational manner, okay? And to be able to have your freedom and stop being a slave of your own mind and slave of your own body and slave against your own will, whereby you find yourself doing things that you really don't want to do, but you have to do it because your biology pushes you to do that. Your hormones are pushing you to do that. Your eyes are pushing you to do that. Your mind is pushing you to do that. Your ears are pushing you to do that. Your nose is pushing you to do that. Is it worth it? Just ask yourself, is it worth it? Today, I can boldly say I'm free. All right, I am free. And that's why I'm making this video, to help you also free yourself. That's why I'm saying there's nothing wrong with trying, okay? Because just imagine that you had not tried anything. And then I came to tell you that, you know what, young man, so I've had all my sexual experiences, and I just come, for example, you are in your teenagers, and I just come and tell you, like, young man, you should discipline yourself. You should do this. You should do this. If you, if provided, let's say, provided you know, okay, that I've already had my fair share, you would say, come on, let me also experience my fair share, right? Before you give me your advice. You get it? So that's why I am saying there's nothing wrong with trying, but the earlier you know, the better. So you can now make an informed decision that will be less influenced by your biology. All right. So that is the purpose of this particular video. So the first tip that I would share with you if you want to cultivate sexual discipline, I would say, is to first of all identify your triggers. Is it your sight? Is it what you see? Is it what you smell? Is it what you hear? Is it your hormones? Or what is it at all? You know? Because you probably are already a sex addict. Okay, let me put it that way. Probably you are already in a phase where it's like you can't do without sex. So it's like you have to chase, and you just have like an unending curiosity to find out, what is that lady's underwear, what is the color, like I'm just being real with you, because these are my own experiences that I'm sharing with you. And I have nothing to hide. The aim is to just help you, my brother watching me, or my sister watching me, because even you, if you are a girl, I'm sure this could even help you yourself. You're probably finding it hard to just settle with one man, and more especially you just keep, for instance, you are probably masturbating. You are probably, and I'm not saying, like I said, forget about the morals, okay? Is it really good or bad masturbating? That depends on you. But as far as you are not going to kill anybody, you are not going to hurt anybody. That's why it's called masturbation. You enjoying it yourself. The question is, do you like what you're doing? Are you happy with what you're doing? Do you enjoy doing that every day? How do you feel? Do you feel depleted, like your energy is gone? Do you feel weak? Do you feel like when you try to lift something, you feel pain in your arm? Meanwhile, when you don't indulge in such activities, you become very strong and fit. Your testosterone level is at its peak, and then you're strong and vibrant. Does that mean because you want to be strong and vibrant, you wouldn't indulge in sex? That's not what I'm saying. But you should understand that the main purpose of sex is what? It's for reproduction. The pleasure aspect of it is just like sugar in porridge, or sugar in tea, or sugar in coffee. Do you know that people actually take coffee without sugar? You get it? People take tea or porridge without sugar. I'm saying this to say that the main purpose is for reproduction. But without that sugar, you might not want to take the coffee. You say it is too bitter. So that is it. Just imagine people, I mean, like there wasn't any form of I don't know how to describe it, any form of sensation or any form of relief or any form of sweetness, okay, when you maybe meet, or in orgasm or something, when if there wasn't any form of sensation and sweetness in orgasm, there would time orgasm wouldn't have even existed. In that act, they wouldn't, if there was any form of sweetness in sex, I don't think nobody would be talking about orgasm or any kind of that thing. So that is why that's what may push you to becoming an addict. And the only way you can come out of that is, number one, is to understand that the main purpose of the whole thing is for what? Reproduction. So just as somebody may want to take coffee. I don't know why somebody may want to take coffee. Okay. But let's assume that the fellow wants to take coffee to stay active. Okay. It's just a hypothetical reason. If the main purpose for taking coffee is to stay active, then the fellow could just take his coffee and don't bother about how sugary the coffee is. Because if the fellow is bothered about how sugary the coffee is, he's most likely going to be tempted to be taking coffee all the time. But if he was just interested in taking coffee so that then he would realize that taking coffee would be better. And he can only, just like a bitter pill, people only swallow the bitter pill when they feel sick. But they wouldn't take the bitter pill for fun. So that is one thing to note. The second tip that I would share with you has to do with you identifying your triggers. Okay, that's why I actually mentioned this point first. Okay, but I explained in the course of my explanation, I brought in the main purpose of sex. But don't worry, like I said, this is spontaneous, and that is why it's so real. Okay, I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. And it's coming from my personal experiences. So to talk about you identifying your triggers, when I said, is it your eye, is it your ear, is it your nose, and whatever, I was saying that to say that usually lust stems from these areas. Okay. So for instance, you might, in my case, for instance, why was I lusting after women? Basically, from my side, when I see the person, then I'm curious about, okay, I've had this affair with this other girl. Okay, this girl is different. How is she gonna look? How different would she be as compared to the previous girl? Okay, sometimes to my ears would play that game, because when I hear something, for example, if she says something sweet, and up to date, sometimes it still happens that so one thing that would let you understand is that this discipline that you are going to cultivate, it's not just going to happen overnight. It's something that you have to keep working on yourself. It's a personal development process that you have to keep working on yourself. There are times where you fall. You might control your side, but sometimes you hear something, she might sweet talk you, or she just, because you are pre-programmed to just think sexually. Maybe if she just says something that's not even very sexual, but you'll be triggered. You get it? And now, personally, let's say, why would I indulge in such lust? Okay, be it masturbation, be it just run after women and all of this. It's when I'm triggered. Okay, so when I talk about these triggers, it could be my ear, I heard something sexual. It could be visual, I saw something pornographic, or actually literally watched pornography, or I saw somebody probably dressed in a very tempting way. That person should not even be my temptation. I refuse to use that word tempting way, because using that word tempting is an excuse. You don't want to grow. You don't want to develop yourself. You don't want to go beyond that. That's why you are using that as an excuse. Once you change your mindset, when you see somebody dressed in a way that is, I don't want to use that word tempting, okay? Because I don't want to use that word anymore because that would be an excuse. But when you see somebody in a provocative manner, I don't want to use that word because the person is not even provoking me. The person is being herself. Okay? But if somebody dresses in a way that attracts you, let me put it that way, okay? But once you go through this programming or reprogramming of yourself that I'm trying to share with you, once you go through this exercise and you begin to cultivate sexual discipline, it doesn't matter how the fellow dresses. You see the person as just, a person. And the only way to do this is simply, the only way you can see somebody dressed in an attractive manner and you are not tempted is to simply make sure that is another tip, okay? So remember, I've told you to understand that sex is mainly reproduction. I've also told you to understand that you should identify what your trigger, okay? If it's visual, if it's audio, if it's whatever, sensual, whatever that it is, you should identify that trigger. Now, the next thing that you have to understand is that what comes after these triggers. In my case, it got to a point where I was able to actually, I don't know how to put it, to actually become strong and to actually tell myself that I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this anymore. So it's just like I don't have any addiction, okay? So I wouldn't have to get up. Even if I had an addiction, a sex addiction, but I was able to combat it to the point where I wouldn't get up and say I want to run after a girl, because I would rather have a lot of things to do, and I'm not interested in that. You get me? But the only issue was that, when, for instance, I see somebody, okay, maybe I've seen, sorry. What I mean is that I was able to cultivate that discipline to a point where when I see, let's say, I had no, so it's like I no longer had the will, okay, to go after women out of that kind of curiosity or whatever that it is, right? But sometimes in my day, maybe, so it's like you've made up your mind that you are not going to do that, but now you come across somebody, and then probably this person is dressed in such an attractive manner that you are finding it hard to resist, all right? But now the only way, you see, is the whole thing happens in such a way that is, you see, your biology, that's what I'm saying, is your biology. You are just wired because you are wired to do it, all right? Because if you are not, that's why we are calling it discipline, because like anybody would like something that is sweet. Anybody would like something that is easy. Anybody would like something that is cheap. That's why discipline is needed. So it's not that discipline is just something easy, because as humans, we are naturally tempted to do what is easier. You get it? But discipline is like you knowing how sweet it would be, but deciding not to. So the third tip, or if I'm not mistaken, is it the fourth or the third tip that I'm going to share with you, is to make sure that you don't just think sex. Because there's no way you think sex and your biology will not respond. It's just like electric current. Okay, if you think sex and then you see your trigger, immediately it runs through your biology and you get yourself aroused. So it's just in your programming. Because if nature doesn't do things this way and make it something that you have to premeditate and really think about it, most people will not even reproduce because they will not take pleasure in doing it. So that's why nature wired us that way. So one thing is identifying your trigger, but to be able to resist that trigger would be actually putting at the back of your mind that I'm not going to think sex. So one thing is, they always say you cannot do whatever that you do. Action equals opposite reaction, right? Action, reaction, action, reaction. That's how life works. So you cannot grow beans and expect to harvest maize. If you think sex, and that's where that's the real discipline actually, because that is so hard to do. Because I've seen, just like you've seen this coffee, and you can see somebody actually putting the sugar, and you're like, look at how sweet it is. But how do you resist saying, I'm not going to take coffee? Or so the way to resist saying you will not take coffee is to eliminate coffee within your mind. So I'm just going to say, you know what? I'm not going to. So that is why you need to have strong, that may be another tip that I will add. You need to have strong value system. And that value system will be centered on zero sex thoughts. What that means is that because you are actually in charge of your mind. So just like, even if you see, let me give you an example. There was a time, this is a real story that I'm sharing with you. I was ever with somebody, and then the fellow misbehaved, okay? The fellow did something that I did not like. The lady was lying down, wide open. She did everything to tempt me, all right? Doing everything, like, and I zipped my trousers and left her in the bed. Why did I do that? Think about it. Before I wanted to do the act, and she just did something, and all of a sudden, everything that was in me, that biology that you find so hard to resist, that biology died immediately, and I zipped my jeans and left. How was I able to do it then? Which means you are capable. That is to tell you that it's not an excuse to say, no, sure. That's why I did not want to use the word tempting or provoking. Nobody's provoking you. Nobody's tempting you. It's your mind that is tempting yourself. So the only way is to just say, you need to have strong value system where you would tell yourself that I'm not going to do it. So that's why sometimes people have value system whereby they'll say, I'm not going to do it till marriage. That is a form of sexual discipline. In my case, I'm not going to say I will not do it without marriage, but I would say rather, I'm not going to do it, especially if I'm in a committed relationship. And even if I'm not in a committed relationship, I'm not still going to do it unless I really want to. So I'm cultivating a strong willpower to tell myself that I'm only going to do it when I want to. Regardless of the circumstance, I'm going to do it when I want to, which means I have to eliminate sexual thoughts in my mind at all cost. Because once I think of sex and I see this person and sex is running through my mind, my biology is going to ignite it. Now, what happens when your biology ignites it? I'm using my own terms. When your biology reacts, like I said, it has to be premeditated and is very, very sharp. It's not something that you can take your time sometimes to change your mind. So that's how nature wired us, so we can reproduce. So when that happens, in my case, sometimes it wasn't even because I really wanted. Even after that happened, so I got triggered, I got aroused and everything, I still did not want to really have sex. I still did not want to maybe go and masturbate. I still did not want to maybe chase after this woman or even chase after another woman. But what would trigger me to do any of this would be the fact that after that biology reacts, and that is something that most people would never and ever, I've watched different videos, but most people would never and ever disclose to you, which is after your biology reacts, the fluid that is produced Okay, so in my case, for instance, you have your seminal vesicle secretions and all those whatever secretions. That is not semen, right? Because semen is really what comes out when you ejaculate. But the rest of it that builds up within your vessels when you have sexual arousal, it's, for me in my case, that is, and in most people's cases, that is what actually pushed them to lust after a woman, or to lust after women, or to even go to the extent of masturbating or watching, because, and sometimes to just make things realistic, more realistic for them, they garnish it up with pornography so they can really either masturbate, or they just would have no choice but to run after women to get themselves laid and all of that. So the real thing, and most people who are even coaches in this never mention it, is the fact that you have this built up within you. So sometimes when you go to even urinate, you have difficulties in urinating. Sometimes you can even have bloody urine, or like very yellowish urine, because of that build up, the blood and the pressure. And that tempts you to just release. That's why we call it release, right? So you do everything. It's just like somebody that smokes, you know, he has become an addict. He passes by, he hears somebody smoking, he gets triggered to also smoke, and he will do everything that you can, to get a shot. Or even sometimes your humor is down, you are not, so it's like you're not happy or whatever. That kind of sex addiction is not different from smoke or cigarette or anything, any form of addiction. That's how it works. And you need to take a shot. You get it? So for me, like I said, that build up was my only temptation. So now, how do I prevent that build up in the first place? That is the thing. So, because when you're able to prevent that build up within your vesicles, pushes up your bladder, and even when you just have let small urine accumulated within your bladder, you already want to eliminate it because you have a lot of unease. And the only way you can just stop all these troubles is to just make sure you either get somebody, so you have to chase after a woman, or so I'm saying this to say that I have even reached a point where it's no longer about my sight, it's no longer about my ears, it's no longer about, because I'm able to control all those senses. But now the problem is that sometimes you get caught up by surprise. You just box into a lady who is, sometimes probably the lady is even seducing you, or is just trying to sweet talk you, or anything at all. Maybe you are flirting or anything, and then because of your weak value system regarding sex, and because of the fact that you did not really, you had sexual thought, anything at all, even if the lady smiles at you, you interpret that as a flirt. So you end up what? Getting aroused. Now you are aroused, you have that build up, and the only way you can ease yourself is to do that. So if you want to just get yourself free, then you have to cultivate strong value system where you unthink sex. So you would just say, you know what? If I meet you, it doesn't matter how sweet talk you talk me. It doesn't matter how you do this. It doesn't matter what. If it's on a dating app, it doesn't matter how sweet talk, how, even if you are saying you come to my house and then we are about to go out, and whatever that you are saying, I'm not thinking about sex. I'm just seeing you as a human being, and I'm trying to connect with you, and we just have to know each other, and then sex should not come into the equation. So the only way you can get this done is to actually tell yourself that. So that's why some people will say we have to marry before we do it, or we have to really get engaged before we do it, or we have to do it maybe in 5 months' time, or we have to do it. So all those are value systems, none of which is wrong. But the purpose of all those values is to make sure that you cultivate sexual discipline. So it's up to you to decide, how do you unthink sex? What value system are you going to adapt? Would you say before marriage, in 5 months' time, after dating, after we are engaged, what at all would be your value system? That is what you need to be able to unthink sex. If not, once you get the lady, you're talking, it's gonna pop up. And once that thought is in your mind, your biology will ignite it without your notice. This is the solution. So you need strong value system. That is the basis of this discipline. Once you have that, so that is your principle. If you don't want to use the word value, just say your principle. Personally, what is my principle? My principle right now is that it doesn't matter how we talk, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter. Once I just see you as the opposite sex and I'm attracted to you, there's nothing at all that you would say or you sweet talk me or whatever. Even if I'm interested in you, sex should not be in my mind. And what is in my mind is that we have to get to know each other. And then more especially, I'm not looking for no longer at all for even hit and run. I'm not looking for any trial. All I'm looking for is what? True love, so we can get to really connect and build family. So this is also my value system. For me, I would like to build a family with you. Or with her, okay? I would like to build a family with her. So now it's about reproduction and it's not about getting laid, and I'm not curious about what she's wearing and how she's going to act and what and all of that, because I've already experimented that and realized that none of which is worth it. For instance, if they give you 1,000 women to experiment, that cannot reflect all the billion women's, or let's say that cannot be a reflection of what the billion women in the world would individually give you if you were to try each and every one of them. So having that unquenching curiosity about how she's going to be and how she's going to all of that, I've decided to cultivate a value system where I just refuse painfully, because you have the edge. Everybody knows how sweet it's going to be, but I'm just saying, you know what? I'm not going to think about that. I don't care. I know, yes, I know definitely you're going to have something different. Okay? And then that just said, one other last tip that I will share with you is that sometimes we resort to hating women, thinking that is the excuse. That cannot be an escape. So we think maybe if we hate women, then in that case, I will now be able to free myself. That is never going to work. Some people say no, but they are just like, some people say holes. They use the term holes, thinking maybe if you denigrate the source of life, where we all came from, you think if you denigrate that by saying it's a hole, those holes, you just say that, you think you use that term, that is going to make you a bitch or whatever term that you choose to use. You think by using those terms, it will actually make you less attracted to the opposite sex. Never. It's never gonna take it away. That is your biology, and there's a reason why God created us this way. So understand that it's for reproduction, and I don't want to reproduce, but that is still not enough, because your triggers will come, and then you do it without thinking of even reproduction. So the only way you can do it is to make sure you don't think of sex in the first place. And to not think of sex is to make sure that you have what strong value system, that you define, tailor it according to your need or according to your triggers and according to your own biology and according to everything. So this was my expose about my own self, that I no longer have to, the no fap thing that they talk about. I'm already part of the community, all right? And the last thing, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to run after a woman, or I'm not going to run after women. And how do I do this? I did it thanks to just the simple principle of unthinking sex in my mind with a strong value system that I'm looking for somebody to settle with. And even this person, this potential person, if I meet this person, unless this particular person, unless we actually get to a point where we are both serious with each other and we get engaged in a relationship, that's when I will actually try to get that done. That is, I'm not for before marriage, but this is my value system. So I'm looking for a partner for a long-term relationship that can lead to raising a family. So until we actually get together and then we are serious with each other, I wouldn't say we have to wait till we marry, no, because we need to try things up, right? But that is my strong value system. So I don't just meet people on the dating side and then I'm already aroused before I even get to know their names. I don't do that no more. Hope this helped. I would say watch the video again and again and meditate on it and make sure that you are no more that horny guy that is just a slave of his own biology or her own biology. You can free yourself, trust me. I did it and you can also do it.